Okay, so in this section, I'll be talking about long term consistency and compounding and the power of compounding money when it comes to day trading or any trading in general. So, an importance of consistency is that we need to show consistent results over a long term span rather than short. You must view trading as a long term game and not a short term get rich quick scheme. Those that make trading as a short term get rich scheme are most times typical gurus trying to sell you something. I am not here to be one of those gurus that are trying to sell you a dream of making millions in their first month of trading. That's not realistic. I'm telling you guys straight up the realistic aspect inside of day trading. It is hard work, determination, and many, many, many factors that lead to success and creating a career out of day trading alone. So that's something you definitely want to take into consideration. You want to focus on the long term game, not the short term. Short term, I'm talking about like we can have weeks of consistency. That's not enough. You need months of consistency to prove or even years to prove you're a long term consistent trader that can make a living off of this. Now, the next thing I'll talk about is the power of compounding. Trading compounds money exponentially as you grow your account. Let's take an example here. On the left, I have obviously a chart of compounding money. On the right, I have actually a chart of a day trader's typical account size learning curve. All right. So you guys can look into that if you guys are curious. Usually, that's a pretty solid graph of how a typical day trader's learning curve usually looks like. But let's take an example of compounding, the power of compounding money. This is not realistic here, by the way, these percentages, but it is here to show you how compounding, even with a small account, you can compound over a long period of time. With consistency, you will make big money no matter the size, as long as it's an average solid size account. Let's say you start with an average solid size account of 1,000. You compound average of 5% growth per day, meaning you are increasing your account by 5% per day. Now, this is not realistic over a span of probably a year or a few months. I mean, you could maybe achieve this within maybe 1 or 2 months consistently, but over like a year is very, very unlikely. 5% after taking consideration of losing days. So something you want to think about, because if you can make 5% growth per day for like years on end, what's the point? These hedge funds with mass amounts of money, what's if they really had the ability and algorithm and the knowledge to do this, then dude, they wouldn't even need that much money to begin with to compound money. They wouldn't even need these investors. They could already have such massive returns. Even if they did have these investors, the amount of return on their money would literally be so much where you can't even calculate, right? That's the power of compounding. So again, this is not realistic data, but I'm just giving this as an example. So compounding average of 5% growth per day. After 30 days, your $1,000 becomes $4,320. This may not seem like a lot, but 30 days to 4 times your money is a big return on investment. After 90 days, it becomes 80,730, which that's a big jump from 30 days to 9 days. As you guys can see, massive jump. That's 20 times return and 80 times return of the original balance and investment. So you guys can see compounding money is exponential. These are exponential gains because look at after what happens after 180 days. After 180 days, your 80,000 becomes 6 million. 6 million, if you want to know how much money 6 million is, that's 65 years of making 100K per year. That's absurd. A lot of people don't even make 100K a year from their jobs. So 65 years, dude, that's absurd. $6.5 million is a lot of money. Now, really, again, it depends on your subjective way you're looking at it. If you're like a multi-quad millionaire, billionaire, it may not seem like a lot, but to the average person, $6.5 million is a lot of money. And you guys can see how that was only achieved in half a year span. Now, 5% growth per day in half a year is almost impossible. There's some people that they get very lucky home runs to where they can grow an account flip for like insanely to maybe like, I don't know. I'm not going to say I'm not going to give any expectations out here, but there's some people that just get extremely lucky on some swings and they grow their account massively. But I do not know a single person, or no one knows a single person that compound their money 5% growth per day for 180 days straight. That beats hedge funds, that beats institutions, beats banks, beats everything you can think of. So clearly not possible, clearly not a thing. And that's just not something you should be achieving or targeting. You should be achieving something more realistic based on your previous past trading data. So something you should keep in the back of your mind when it comes to trading with a small account. Don't be discouraged and continue looking at a long-term game of consistency.